Coming up next on We Are Marshall Today, student researchers showcase their projects at the West Virginia State Capitol. We'll take you along.
Plus, as Haiti works to recover, the Marshall University community works to assist. These stories and more up next on We Are Marshall Today.
Hello and welcome to this edition of We Are Marshall Today. I'm Bill Bissett.
And I'm Leah Edwards. Several of Marshall University's top undergraduate researchers recently showcased their findings at the state capitol.
That's right, Leah. More than 24 students presented their posters during the 7th Annual Undergraduate Research Day. More in this report from Professor Dan Hollis.
My project's on radial basis functions. It's a new type of mathematics developed in the late 60s, early 70s. And it is able to be used in such things as facial recognition and ocean floor mapping and recreating other three-dimensional shapes such as in medical applications.
Marshall University senior Maggie Chenoweth is one of 26 Marshall students who participated in the research event earlier this month. Chenoweth and faculty advisor Scott Sarah worked on their project over the summer, culminating with this presentation to legislators. The event allows students from various disciplines a chance to showcase their original research to a broad audience.
I want them to take home that, we're doing some cutting edge research at Marshall University. I mean, we're doing great things. I mean, cutting edge research, stem cell stuff. And two, there's all this hot debate about embryonic stem cells. I mean, they're promising. There's a lot of issues. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do anything with them, but there's also a lot of promise with these adult tissue-derived stem cells as well.
Research was presented in more than a dozen categories, including engineering, communications, biology, chemistry, English, and political science. For We Are Marshall Today, I'm Dan Hollis.
Joining us now is the Vice President of Research for Marshall University, Dr. John Maher. Dr. Maher, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we just heard about Undergraduate Research Day at the Capitol. We have undergraduate students presenting posters of the research they've been either conducting or heavily involved with. What does it mean, as somebody from a strong science background, what does it mean at the undergraduate level to have that kind of opportunity?
Well, personally, I had an undergraduate research experience which defined my career, really, and led me, through that opportunity to really see, where my interests were. And I think the same opportunity is here at Marshall, where we have, very strong undergraduate education component, but we have that opportunity to participate in world-class research in the laboratories, giving you an insight into what it would be like to pursue graduate studies in any one of the STEM fields, or be a doctor, or a nurse, or enter the health profession. So there's a tremendous amount of research component that is even required now to obtain your MD, and having that experience in your undergraduate phase really gives you an idea of whether it's for you, and shows you, how you can excel if you put the work into it.
Something that you and I have talked a lot about that I always find interesting is not just the aspects of doing cutting-edge research, but being able to explain it, which I think is very interesting, the communication skills. Stereotypically, we think that scientists or engineers may have trouble with such things. Is this one way maybe to break that mold and get communicative researchers that can do that?
I think it really is. Every course you take as an undergraduate is not going to be part of your career as you go forward, but it kind of deepens your understanding of what the world's about. Same thing is true with undergraduate research experience. You may not pursue a research career. You may not even pursue a career in a STEM discipline. However, having that opportunity really gives you some background into how that all functions in the world, and gives you kind of that breadth of education that really takes you a long way in your life.
Outstanding. Well, I know one of your main focus is the Marshall Institute for Interdisciplinary Research. How is Maher doing? Where are we now? I know we've had the hiring of 2 scientists. What do you see as kind of the current chart? I mean, we know about the economy, but I know good things are happening as well.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Eric Kamech entered the Marshall community about a year ago, and he hired Joan Wilson, the first scientist, in about June, July. Dr. Wilson arrived. And so they've set up, really 2 laboratories with some very important activities in gene editing and in non-coding RNA, and are working very hard on the grants and industrial relationships and contracts that we're looking to really, get Maher off the ground. So it's going very, very well. We have a lot of interest from a lot of folks. And the submittals from Maher are really going great guns as far as grants are concerned. So that is an enterprise that's well along its way to being sustainable.
I know you mentioned funding initiatives. Obviously, the Bucks for Brains program or the Research Trust Fund being the matching funds to build an endowment. Give us an update on that, but I mean, obviously we're dealing with an economy here that's not where we'd like to see it, but at the same time I continue to hear a lot of enthusiasm for that program.
Absolutely. It's a great program. It had a predecessor program, the ESRI grant. Mm-hmm. That ESRI grant was a $5 million, private corpus from the university that was provided by the Marshall University Foundation, and a $5 million match for the state. That is fully expendable, and that's the basis upon which Maher was created. So we've got a very firm financial foundation there. Already have $10 million working for all the purposes of Maher. And in addition to that, we're using the Bucks for Brains program to provide further funding for the Maher Endowment and to fund research at the Ray Hall Transportation Institute in intelligent transportation systems.
Excellent.
So, like any capital campaign, it goes a little slowly at first, and I think it was part of the wisdom of how the governor and the Higher Education Policy Commission designed the program, that we didn't just have to do it in 1 year or 2 years. We had 5 years to meet the match. That gets us through any kind of, short-term economic downturn that we might see, and we are seeing the interest in the program really kind of pick up as the economy improves, and so we're quite confident that we're going to make our goals, and I think WVU is feeling the same way.
So. Excellent, excellent. I know that's a good working relationship you have. You're, as in addition to being Vice President of Research, you're in charge of the Marshall University Research Corporation. Why is it important we have a research corporation? What is kind of its mission as the university does its function? How does Merck, the Research Corporation, assist with that?
Well, stop me if I get too much into the sort of organizational geekdom here, but
in a short paragraph.
Marshall University is a quasi-state entity and has to adhere very carefully to state rules and regulations, for example, with regard to purchasing and acquisition. About 20 years ago, the legislature decided that to perform research adequately, the state universities had to have a research corporation to allow them in a 501c3 that was affiliated but independent of the university pursue more latitude in terms of purchasing and acquisitions of materials for grants and contracts. So we're the fiscal agent for the university in the grants and contracts relationships. We own the intellectual property and actively market it for economic development purposes. And we also assure the compliance with regard to research integrity, human subject research, and animal use.
Outstanding.
So we take on a lot. And we leverage a lot of university resources. So I think Marshall University has a very cost-effective research enterprise overall.
Well, and this would make sense too, because obviously you have turnover of staff, faculty, things of that nature, but your reputation, I imagine, in whether it's the National Science Foundation, anything of that nature, must be critical, and you clearly must be the standard bearer for how we're going to do that. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of this takes place at an institutional level when you develop the right assurances and you get the right certifications. A couple of years ago we got our AHARP certification with regard to human subject research. That carries a lot of weight. However, it's the faculty and their individual creativity that really carries the university as far as the research enterprise is concerned. And we've had a lot of success with that over the last couple of years. We've had really the first 2 competitive NSF and NIH awards in the College of Science. We're looking at getting renewed on a relatively large EPSCoR award for the university. The West Virginia Embry Award is going great guns and has gotten 4 supplements from the stimulus research funds. So at Marshall, research is really going extremely well.
Excellent.
And that's due to the hard work of the faculty and their kind of entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, Dr. Maher, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Coming up next on We Are Marshall Today, we'll look at a soulful Sunday here at our community. Stay with us.
Trying to annoy each other, kill the time, kill the boredom.
My company's downsizing. I thought it'd be in my best interest to go back to school. But as busy as I am, commuting was not going to be an option. But with MU Online, I can take classes anywhere.
Nationally accredited, affordable, convenient. MU Online.
My name's Emily, and in 7 years, I'll be an alcoholic. I'll start drinking in 8th grade. but my parents won't really notice because I'll do okay in school and everything will seem okay, but everything won't be okay.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
The United States Census is underway, and officials are hoping college students will take it seriously. Earlier this year, Census representatives stopped by Marshall University to educate students on the importance of being counted. Students who live in Huntington during the school year should claim the city as their primary residence.
Very important on 2 levels. One, population count determines congressional representation in the U.S. Congress. So based on that population, congressional seats are awarded. And then secondly, it's the money aspect. Tax dollars come back into the community based on the population counts.
The U.S. Constitution requires a national census every 2 years. As Mr. Wills just said, the data helps the federal government determine congressional seats and funding. Questionnaires will be mailed out in March, and if you don't receive one, they will be available in the Memorial Student Center. Questions and answers were the order of the day in mid-February as Huntington Mayor Kim Wolf visited Marshall's campus. Marshall Student Government sponsored the event. Senate President Pro Tem Patrick Murphy says the open dialogue helps strengthen the town and gown relationship.
On the weekends, everyone goes home. It's all commuters and everything. So when school's in session, Huntington really is helped out with the students that are here and vice versa. So I think you can't really have one without the other. If one's floundering, the other one gets hurt big time.
Mayor Wolf and his team answered questions for about 2 hours.
From City Hall to the halls of the state capitol, Marshall University marked its annual day at the legislature. Dozens of university representatives made the trek to Charleston. Campbell County Delegate Carol Miller says it's a great way to educate legislators about the university and its mission.
It gives people from 55 counties exposure to universities that they may not be totally familiar with. People do know the 2 major universities, but there are a lot of schools that other people don't know about. And when you live in the very rural counties, it's nice for them to be able to see Marshall.
Marshall's Fife and Drum Corps, student representatives, and Marshall President Stephen Kopp were all recognized in both chambers of the legislature. Athletic Director Mike Hamrick and new football coach Doc Holliday also attended the day's events. Doc Holliday and the Thundering Herd football program were in the news earlier this month for National Football Signing Day. Holliday announced that 25 student athletes have committed to play football at Marshall next year. Holliday said he's issued some pretty strict guidelines when his recruiters hit the road.
We started this deal, I guess it was December 17th, and we had about 4 of us in here, and the rest of them came a little bit later on. But our deal is we sat down as staff, first thing we said is, guys, let's make sure number one, that as we go on the road, let's make sure we sign guys or recruit guys that we know we can win this conference with.
The new recruiting class features athletes from 6 different states, including 13 from Florida, which has been fertile ground for Holliday in the past.
They call it a soul food feast, but for those who attended Marshall's annual event earlier this month, it was just plain good food. Marshall's Center for African American Students program sponsored the afternoon of food and fun. Organizers say the event, which coincides with Black History Month, is a chance to celebrate family, friends, and community. The afternoon featured a performance by the African American Arts and Heritage Academy Showcase.
Marshall University's Office of Multicultural Affairs remembered Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with several events in January. One of those was an effort to gather toothbrushes for the people of sub-Sahara South Africa. More than 4,000 toothbrushes were collected and shipped out in late January.
The Marshall community is helping out around the world where there are struggles.
That's right, Leah. One of those places is Haiti, where earthquake devastation is immense. One Marshall student, originally from Haiti, recently spoke to a group of students about his country.
Yeah, I was in Haiti, actually. I was there in 3 days prior to the quake. I was in Port-au-Prince, and I left Port-au-Prince on Saturday, and the quake happened on Tuesday. And one of my friends called me and told me that the bed that I was sleeping in, the room that I was sleeping, and when I was in Port-au-Prince, the roof fell on the bed. So I was just lucky to leave there on time. It could have been me, and I lost two of my friends, two of my good friends that I went to school with, that I actually saw on Friday when I was in Port-au-Prince. So I saw them on Friday night, and Tuesday, they died from the creek. Haitian, we have, you know, we love our country. We love our country, and we're very proud of where we come from. We have a deep passion for music, art, and our culture is pretty vivid. We have a strong cultural value, and we love our family and friends. You know, we like to spend time with our friends back home. Every good friend is a sister or a brother. Or if you're a cousin, if you're a friend, you're simply a cousin. You know, we're gonna call you cousin. That's how much we love our people. So when we realize how much people that we lost on the quake, that really hurt all of us. And once again, I want to ask you to think of yourself, you know, living in a country where, you know, poverty, you know, is at large. You know, poverty destroys most of, you know, what we have. And the quake happened, you know, we already had little, and the quake destroy everything else we have. So now, you know, we're gonna need all your help to rebuild the country, because after a few months, I'm sure the media are gonna be gone. You know, they're gonna forget about the country. So it's gonna rest upon all of us, you know, to spread the word and, you know, keep Haiti in your prayer, and so we can rebuild the country.
Joining us now to talk more about the recovery effort in Haiti is Dr. Chris White. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about you for just a second. You are an assistant professor of history here at Marshall University. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm originally from California, but came here to Marshall about 3.5 years ago, and I'm just loving it so far. I'm also the chair of the Latin American Studies minor program right now, which I share the responsibilities of that with a few other professors on campus as well. And part of that is actually, our mission has been to try and make a kind of a transfer between the academic experience and the real world for our students. So we've led trips to Latin America several times and helped them to engage in civic engagement as well. So that's kind of along the lines of why we've been trying to be involved in Haiti as well.
So you have a very natural affinity for what is going on there. Update our audience a little bit about what the Marshall community has done as far as sending aid to Haiti.
Well, actually, from the very beginning, we sent out emails to as many people as possible to try and convince them that aid was indeed possible to be sent online. And so we started to get people to send aid to the Red Cross, to Partners in Health, to World Vision, and several others, so they could just send it directly in, and probably thousands of dollars worth were sent that way. From the beginning, people asked us if we should actually take in money ourselves and try and divert it that way, but I just thought it would be much better if people can just donate it online and take out the middleman. So it's been hard to quantify exactly how much we've actually raised. But then there's all these other organizations that have been involved. The Rec Center, led by Dave Stewart, for example, they have collected nearly $1,000 because they had their one day on Sunday a couple weeks ago where everybody can come in and donate some money and work out in the Rec Center. The girls' soccer team is actually going to be having a soccer tournament next Saturday on the 27th, where they're going to accept donations as well. Chili's restaurant also had a give back night, and that was something that was initiated by one of our grad students in the history program, Claire Snyder, who also happens to work at Chili's, and they raised several $100s there a couple weeks ago. And so there's been things like that, little things like that have been going on, which are representative of a wide variety of organizations that are involved. And I've only touched on a few of them. Student government's been involved too in sending out, they've set up jugs, for example, all across the city and across campus. They've gone to basketball games and collected money that way. So it's been a lot of small operations that have been sending money to Haiti that way.
Right, a very grassroots effort, so to speak, with a lot of different people involved. I know we also had a group from here in Huntington of physicians and nurses who went to Haiti, and I think that they were spearheaded by a couple of folks at our medical school. And you've had a few discussions with Dr. Yingling, I believe, over at the medical school about that.
Right. Actually, what they did was something that was very exciting. They had a group of a couple dozen people, actually physicians and assistants and nurses, who went down to Haiti, and they went to one area in particular, and they treated 1,400 patients, in fact. And so, but of course, when they were there, they started to think that it'd be a good idea to have some type of ongoing aid, and so we're starting to think about how we can start to maybe send our attention at Marshall to one community in particular in Haiti that we can concentrate our efforts on, so that we're not just consistently trying to get people to send money to one organization or two organizations that are across the entire country. And even though that's important as well, that was the first phase, and now our second phase is to try and concentrate on how we can update what we've already put in motion for the past month.
Now, as a professor, you always, I know, want to have an education component to anything that's done on campus, and that's something that you have spearheaded as well. Not only raising money for this country that is devastated, but also to teach students and the Marshall community what Haiti is all about.
Yes, and I think for me, I think they both have to go hand in hand. It's kind of like our philosophy in Latin American studies about trying to convince students to learn about Latin America, think critically about it, and then also to go down there and to be involved with the Latin American community on a personal basis. And so, I've gone to several dozen classes, and I've sent other students out to other classes as well to just try and educate people, for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Whatever professor will let us talk to their classes, and try and tell them about the history of, especially the United States and Haiti together, because we have connections with Haiti which most people wouldn't recognize. And one of them is really important, is that the United States probably hasn't been involved on a per capita basis in any country in the world more so than we've been involved in Haiti, whether it's economic aid or it's U.S. military interventions, and both of them are very important. There's a lot of cultural connections between both countries as well. Like, hundreds of thousands of Haitians have immigrated to the United States and call the United States their home, but still identify with both countries, and they continue to go back and forth too. And so there's a lot of camaraderie between the peoples of both countries. We share a lot of cultural attributes with each other as well. We share similar histories in some ways as well. The first two revolutions that overthrew imperialism in this hemisphere were in first the United States and then in Haiti. And so those types of connections I think we've had have been very important. And if people understand them here, then they can see more of a reason, I think, to give to Haiti.
Absolutely. And before we go, what do you think the long-term projection is for recovery in Haiti?
Well, it seems to me that with so many big organizations like the United Nations and then Partners in Health and so many others that are dedicated to Haiti right now, it seems to me that it's very possible that we can actually not only return Haiti to the situation that they were in before, but actually make them better than they were before. Because if we don't, then they're going to be subjected to the same type of problems that actually led to the devastation being so bad in Haiti today. So reforestation has to occur, microloans also has to occur. That's what's actually been going on for quite a while in Haiti, where people are actually getting seed money so they can have small businesses in Haiti. The economy needs to grow. The political infrastructure needs to be altered in Haiti as well. And they just have to be given a chance. And I think so far there hasn't been a coordinated effort to really give Haiti a chance in its entire history. And maybe this will be an opportunity for the world to actually get together and focus on this country that is the most devastated country in the world right now, and hopefully to get it back on its feet.
Dr. Chris White, thank you so much for being here. Wealth of information. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. And before we go to the break today, let's meet another member of the Marshall University alumni family. Dr. C. Blaine Carpenter graduated from Marshall University in 1966 with a master's degree in biology. He currently resides in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania with his wife. He is retired from teaching. Blaine Carpenter, another member of the Marshall University family, spreading the word about the herd.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Hey. Where have you been? I lost my cat. Oh, that's not right. Yeah, so I made this cat magnet to try and get him back. Cool. Does it work? Kinda. Nice. Yeah, but that's not my cat. Gotta keep working on it. See ya. See ya. Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
From the classroom straight to your computer.
I teach international marketing online 100%. I conduct this class from my office, from my home. and it is 24/7 available to students across the country. I would say this has been one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences, not only for me, for my students as well.
Nationally accredited, affordable, convenient. MU Online.
It's been 1 year since the Marshall Recreation Center opened its doors.
And since then, the doors have been getting a steady workout from the thousands of visitors. These 3 floors of the Marshall Rec Center are busy with activity day in and day out. Some are here for the recreation, while others see the rec as a place to gather with friends. Whatever their goal, Center Director Dave Stewart says the 121,000 square foot facility is a busy place.
I continue to wonder about what did all these people do a year ago? Where were they? What were they doing? Were they doing healthy things? Were they doing positive things? And I think it's added so much luster to the university. I'm just so proud to be part of that.
After a year in business, there have been a few changes. Family hours have been expanded, and there are now more affinity groups eligible for membership. Those members rely on more than 140 employees who keep the center in tip-top shape. Joe Trubateras is one of those employees. He recently graduated from Marshall with his master's degree in exercise science, and he says he's thrilled to be working here.
What I like best about it is just you're working with a lot of people of all different age groups, from kids with the summer camps and to adults for employees and affiliates of Friends of Marshall.
Nearly 200,000 people have visited the rec in the past year, and the numbers are increasing.
I get to meet a lot of new people. A lot of people that I didn't think that I would actually meet, because with being in the fashion merchandising program, I don't see a whole lot of people outside of that. So I've met a lot of new people and have made a lot of new friends out of that. So that's been a big plus for me, I think.
So what's the top activity at the center? Dave Stewart says Zumba probably ranks as the most popular, although certain areas always draw a crowd.
We've found that participation-wise, the second and third floor fitness areas are the most popular. There are over 30 treadmills up there, numerous elliptical machines, rowing machines, free weight, exercise machines, very popular.
If you're interested in membership at the Marshall Recreation Center, please visit the web at marshallcampusrec.com. Fantastic facility there.
No doubt.
That's it for this edition of We Are Marshall Today. I'm Leah Edwards. Do want to say goodbye today, though, to a fantastic colleague that we've worked with for the last 5 years, Bill Bissett, leaving to take another job in Kentucky. And so good luck, Bill.
Thanks so much, Lee. I'll be across the border, but always a son of Marshall.
Thanks.
That does it for this edition of We Are Marshall Today. I'm Bill Bissett.
See ya.